All right. And we're live. Welcome to paraglidingtalk.com. I'm your host, Robert Michaels. Glad that you're here. We have a very special show tonight, and we have a couple special guests. Gabriel Brown, or also known as Black Gryph0n, is with us. He is a paramotor pilot, and that's all you really need to know for now. He is an amazing guy. You're going to find out some cool stuff in this episode. If you haven't, go back to paraglidingtalk.com and check out some previous episodes. Gabriel's been on a couple of them. And tonight we're going to talk about all things flying. Ryan Roberts is with us as well. He is the founder of PPG Smoke, and he has some great announcements for us. And we're super stirred up about what he's working on next. There's some great things in the works. Your minds are going to be blown at what's coming. This show is brought to you by a few sponsors that take care of the show. And one of those sponsors is obviously PPG Smoke. Also, Midwest Parajet. MidwestParajet.com is the website. Go check them out. They're amazing people. PPGZone.com. Josh Perry has a social media platform that he designed for pilots. Go jump on there and make a profile. And when you do, make sure you follow me, say hi. And it's literally for us. You got to do it. You just have to. Also, the show is brought to you by ParamotorProps.com. If you blow up a prop by accident and you still want to try to fly and get back in the air as quickly as you possibly can, because your prop is a very important part of your flying, ParamotorProps.com will get you a new one. Also, the show is brought to you by ParaOrangeProducts.com. Amazing people sponsor this show. If you want to sponsor the show, you too can be an amazing person. Just go to the website, reach out to me through the contact form on paraglidingtalk.com. I want to say special thanks to the Patreon supporters and also all the supporters on PayPal. You guys keep the show going, and you're all amazing. Absolutely amazing. Ryan Roberts, you have the floor, my friend. Thank you for joining us. He's actually in a bunker underground right now.
Prepping for the apocalypse. No, I'm at home in SoCal. Actually, you were just up here to help out with some stuff around the HVAC. So that was great, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. That was great fun. If you guys don't know, I helped him with his air conditioning. Yeah. And we installed a phenomenal cold plasma generator. And now his house is
squeaky clean,
laboratory level clean. It's amazing.
Yeah, so I just wanted to take the time to connect with everyone. It's been a little bit quiet in the last month, just purely because of latency and getting actual production like fully up to speed. And I know I told everyone that the next time I would reach out would be when we would have off-tool samples. So the news that went out today that we've kind of held the bag on is there are essentially 3 off-tool samples that will be at Endless Foot Drag. They are expected to arrive at Josh Bowden's house the 18th, no later than the 18th. Obviously, we're dependent on customs clearance right now, and that's been absolutely insane. We have had, as stated in the email I sent out, we've had packages that are first overnight, which essentially should get here before 10 a.m. the next day, as long as they leave by 4. That are ending up in customs for 8 to 10 days. So it's not just us, it's literally everyone. And then obviously it's the kind of first rip in the market for everyone to really experience things. So I think the point here is just, having open discussion and, being fully transparent about what we're doing and why it's taken so long.
Bring it. Just realized something. I'm looking at your the Unity headset.
Yeah.
On the are you going to do a screen share?
I am not.
Okay.
I wasn't planning on it.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's obviously premised around conversation for the headset, and then we do have other stuff that we're working on. Micro strobe tooling is probably going to be done, this week or so. And then the electric paramotor is progressing. We made some changes to the throttle, and I don't know. I guess just wanted to answer questions about the headset, just open discussion around it. And I think the additional context is that this was really about a journey for the entire community, and it's a really small paramotor community. And so I think my notion from the start has been, what are we going to do? Why are we going to do it? And can we include everyone along the way? I think in some regards it's kind of bit me in the ass, but at the same time, it almost doesn't really matter in the end. The goal here is to release exactly what we told everyone we would release, and that's what's happening.
Yeah, we had this conversation, obviously off air, and my comment was that there's always going to be some Karens out there that are going to cry, and I feel really bad for people named Karen now. But anyways, there's going to be some. What's the alternative? Kens. There's a bunch. Yeah, there's going to be Kens out there. But the main point of what you're doing, you engineered things for a living. That's what you do. You literally do this, and so this was not something that you were doing so that you could just make this grand scheme of making millions of dollars off of these paramotor pilots because their pockets are lined and everything is going to be great. This was literally, I'm going to build something and I'm going to bring my friends with me.
Yeah.
And it's going to have a value that it's literally designed for paramotor pilots, and it's from one of the homies. So it's a cool thing that you brought us along. There's been some unforeseen setbacks like COVID-19 and a world freaking pandemic. So that slowed some things down. I can't even get plumbing parts right now. For the people that are frustrated, either side, I want to just say, have a little grace if you had designed something like this. It is very challenging. I've been a part of this from the very beginning with Ryan, and every step of the way has been very transparent. I've never seen anything like this in my life where there's so much transparency, and yet there's still people crying. And I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I realize that not everyone is. I mean, I get a mixed bag, and obviously there was a really good analogy that came across from a buddy of mine, Mike, does like broadcasting stuff. And he's basically like 8 people on Twitter control CBS decision making because they're sandbagging, CBS about their sports stuff that they're broadcasting. And yet there are like 20 million other people that may be following a particular game that are completely happy with it. And CBS is only paying attention to the 8. So It's somewhat relatable. But yeah, it's nice to see the chat thread, and hopefully, a lot of positivity there, but along the way, some questions. I think the first one was, can I change my shipping address? Yeah. So we're going to reach out to everyone before inventory releases. Obviously, we'll make any corrections to addresses, and then progress on the gas version of the throttle. We basically nixed the gas version altogether. I think we're just done with gas altogether. So the internal mechanism for rotating the potentiometer, essentially what tells the propeller to spin, is now completely designed around the electronics internally. Just touching on it further, the revisions we made are at the base of the throttle. There's a small metal part that touches your hand. The distance in which you grip your fingers and squeeze the throttle itself was a little bit too far away. What else was there? Length, just lengthening it ever so slightly by like 10 millimeters. So yeah, will there ever be a cheaper headset for us thrifty pilots? So that's a really good question.
Who asked that question?
Yeah. I think the answer is this already probably is. You've got to think about the feature mix. Mike, what sort of pricing would you be looking at?
That's Mike S in the chat asking the question.
Oh, Mike S.
And now Ryan Roberts is trying to take my only job on the show. Just pull questions from the chat and throw them out there. But the guy's multitasking like you would not believe. So
sorry, dude.
That's all right. I'm just kidding, man. You keep going, man.
Yeah, I'm genuinely curious, because if you look at the pricing in the market for even like the side-by-side market with rugged radios, the pricing is in the thousands by the time you're done. And so the goal was to be optional on a $50 helmet and a $300 or $400 headset that actually combines everything into what we need. But yeah, I think the only way we would ever get to a reduced price is if we came out with a second version, hint, that was completely wireless. We may or may not be working on that. So.
May or may not. I can neither confirm nor deny.
It's interesting. Bluetooth, I hate it, but at the same time, it has a purpose. Any second now.
There it is.
Oh, yes.
The children.
Child or dog? Oh, it's your child.
Child. Yeah. She's
She's 3.5, and it's that time of the night.
She found you. That's what happened. Dad, you're in there.
Yeah. So we got about 5 minutes left. Let's probe the.
Yeah. Hey, Gabe, do you know anything about these this headset?
No.
Oh, you're gonna want to. You gotta. You have to. Here, let me just do a screen share real quick while Ryan is getting some of these questions here. We're gonna optimize.
Sounds amazing.
There's another question there for you, Ryan.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can.
Let me hit this question while you share screen there. So
go for it.
Quinn. Yeah. So the question is, have you tried wearing normal earplugs underneath the headset for extra hearing protection? Does it help? Do you feel the need? And does it trash the audio quality? So let's start with the end question. Does it trash the audio quality? 100%. You can't have really good passive noise canceling and hear things. There's a really big degree of alchemy involved in that. So that's been one of the biggest engineering challenges for us. Secondary to that, do you feel the need for them? So the way to relate to the passive noise canceling capabilities of the headset is like a 3M Peltor 28 decibel headset, right? So like we're exactly in line with that, if not exceeding. But they're going to feel very, very similar in terms of the cancellation of capabilities. The trade-off is that you can actually hear everything because it slams. The speakers are loud. There's great bass. It's not quiet like a Cena headset. And then have you tried wearing normal earplugs? No, I just haven't even done it.
So I've flown around with I have Samsung earbuds. Yeah, these guys. And I'll put those underneath my my headset for listening to music. Now, when I get the new headset, obviously I won't have to do that. But I don't have a problem with. I don't think it will be an issue. I mean, obviously you're not going to get those crisp highs, but if you're worried about potentially, damaging your ears because you brought your hearing protection off, your secondary, then it might be a good idea to wear some inner ear protection. But I wanted to just real quick for the people that have no clue about these, like Black Gryph0n, he really knows very little about it. What are the benefits for a vlogger with your these headphones?
Good call. So we literally mix every possible channel into audio that's recorded to the GoPro. So if you are looking at the headset, there are a couple ports. There are 2 aviation radio ports. There's 6 pins, so you can connect a general aviation radio or any paragliding radio that you use, and those channels get routed to the GoPro and recorded crystal clear. So you've got two-way conversation that you essentially are capturing, and your experience becomes something that everyone else can experience that maybe doesn't fly.
Along with that, you're that for a long time. That's amazing.
Right. Yeah, it's that frustrated me too. And the odd part about it is I don't even like to talk to people while I fly, but I want to know that I have the option.
Right. Exactly.
Exactly that. So there's 2 push to talk buttons. They control each respective port, and that's recorded back to your GoPro. The phone call. So everyone asks me, can you daisy chain these together or pair them in a way? It was specifically designed not to. The way around that is a reliance on cell towers or your radios. So you can make a group call with your homies and go fly around, and record everything that's happening on that group call. And that gets mixed to GoPro along with the aviation radio stuff. If you're checking in with a tower or, somebody has an edge case and they're flying that way. But yeah, that was the biggest challenge out of all and it came from the GoPro, the way the GoPro audio adapter works of all things. There's actually an amplifier on that was a complete pain in the ass to engineer around.
Is it okay if I send Gabe your contact information, Ryan?
For sure. Yeah.
Send it to him right now. You guys can talk off air.
Cool. So any other questions that come to mind? I'm about to get sucked into dad life.
Yeah. Good man. Good man. I neglect my family when I do this show.
I might have missed it if you already brought it up. Does the headset wire up to an FT65? Did you mention that already?
Connector.
FT65. I don't know what that is.
I'm looking right now.
I'm thinking it might be a tower or
dual pin. No, we do not use an FT65 because it would be dependent on a radio. So we'll connect to the radio that your FT65 connects to.
That's cool.
All right. I appreciate you having me on, guys.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on, Ryan. If anybody wants to get a hold of you, they can reach out to you through the website, ppgsmoke.com, or is there other ways you want them to get a hold of you? I think everything's on the website.
I just threw my email and my cell phone in the chat so that anybody can text me.
There you go. Boom goes the dynamite.
Yeah, I'll be back at you guys as soon as samples are landed. I'll probably send out just a brief note. And thanks. Have fun, everybody. Appreciate the support.
By the way, get ready. The electric paramotor is here.
Yeah, it's literally sitting in my garage. It's
I'm
a
not
hunk of
supposed to
shit
tell
right
anybody.
now. But
Yeah, I just reeled him in. He said the S word. That's $10.
is that?
Yep.
All right, I'll Venmo you right now.
Send it right now. You're in big trouble.
See you guys.
Thanks,
No
Ryan.
worries.
Thanks, Ryan.
Later, guys.
So, if you guys don't know, Black Gryph0n on YouTube, I just want to preface, Black Gryph0n has 4.5 million subscribers on YouTube.
Knows every one of them by first name.
I'm not joking. And well, he knows a lot of them, actually, oddly enough. Because he has a mind to remember stuff, an amazing mind to remember stuff. And he's got some excellence in aviation. He just recently, and I want to talk to him about this, he just recently dropped a video where he was literally flying. It was an F-16?
F-18.
F-18, a literal fighter jet. He's a passenger in a fighter jet, and he's singing songs while he's in the air. It is insane. We'll talk about that. He was a part of some elite forces in our United States military, the Navy SEAL program. He has also done some incredible voiceover work for Disney and a couple other agencies, I'll call them. He's a master of impressions. He's got all kinds of videos on YouTube that you're really going to enjoy. If you've never found it, if you haven't found him yet, or if you haven't seen anything on him yet, there's a link in the description. You're really going to enjoy his channel. Want to encourage you to subscribe, go check it out and enjoy, have some fun, some good, clean entertainment. And so, Gabe, thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for being patient as we rolled Ryan Roberts out the door. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, man. I wasn't expecting that fantastic introduction. That's awesome.
Yeah. But, thank you again for taking the time. I know you're super busy, man. And for the people that are watching tonight, Gabe is working on an album literally right now. He's at the studio working on it. You're going to see that studio in some of his videos. And they are working on some music. He has to complete this album, or at least a part of it, before Monday. And so
yeah,
he's got just a few more days left. So, but if anybody can do it, I think Gabe can.
Thanks.
He puts out some really good stuff. So let's dive right into, forget about the world of music and all the other stuff. Oh, can I mention that you were a candidate for
Yeah, go ahead. That's fine.
so Gabriel was chosen for the person to go to outer space with SpaceX.
Yeah.
And he couldn't really share that information before, but some things happened medically. He had something came up in his, they do extreme testing for anybody that's going to, I should say pilots or astronauts. They go through this screening, MRIs, CAT scans. They do like a deep dive into his health to make sure that something won't happen when you're in outer space. And they found something that was concerning, but since he's actually found out that it's not so concerning, and technically he still can go to outer space. We might touch on it towards the end for the people that are really interested in it, but this guy is going to literally he's gonna go to space. So Gabriel Brown, let it be known that on our show we had an astronaut, and anyways, he was going through astronaut training just weeks before, and it's something that is, I say astronomical. It is literally astronomical what he's a part of and the people that he's surrounding himself with. And so mark it down. He's going to go in outer space. So let's put all of that aside. I want to talk about flying, all things flying.
Yeah.
And we'll, let's talk a little bit. Let's start off by talking about paramotoring. And my main thing that I wanted to talk to you about before we talk about the flying in the fighter jet thing was the flying circus. So
Yes.
tell us about how, I know you dropped a video on that. Maybe I'll try to dig that up while we're talking and do some screen sharing.
Yeah. So, I mean, do you want to just talk about it in general, or like,
yeah, just what were your thoughts about that?
Oh yeah, I've gone every year for the last 4 years, actually. It's been really great to watch it grow. Someone once described it as the Wild West of like the aviation community, and that's very accurate. And what's really, exciting about something like the Flying Circus is you get a bunch of very interesting, unique people, because all of them are interested in aviation, and everybody I've met in aviation is interesting, because but that is where the commonality kind of ends. Everybody there is like, loves flying paramotor, and I would say 80% of the people there are paramotor pilots, and then the rest are GA. So they'll have their Cessnas or their Kit Foxes or their gyrocopters. But then there are sub-communities. So there's a surprising amount of people in aviation, especially down in Arizona, that are really into firearms. So there's a full gun range there, and people are shooting everything from, handguns to the 50 caliber machine guns. I made a rocket launcher that I brought this year, which was kind of cool. There's a bowling ball cannon, flamethrowers.
I remember that. Remember that. I was there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, it was awesome meeting you too, man. Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. And then, what else? This year we actually had, there was an accident. I think it was the first fatal accident in the history of the Flying Circus, which honestly to me, there you go. Honestly, to me, that's kind of surprising, because when you're there, I mean, you wouldn't believe, the amount of crazy stuff that goes on. And everyone, for the most part, is, very, they operate within their own limits. They're good at like identifying what their limits are and staying within those limits. But like, in everything, accidents do happen. And there, unfortunately, was a fatality this year. And I don't want to talk too much about that, because I don't know, I don't know them personally, and I don't know if their family would want me like divulging that information. But it was.
He was from San Diego, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was one of the local guys.
Wow. Yeah. I didn't know that.
Super sad.
Yeah.
But there was lessons learned. Obviously, be careful with how much power you have with your engines. A lot of people think that more power is more. I don't know. it's not always more forgiving. He gave it a little bit too much gas. It
Yes.
experienced the torque and got torque twisted, and could have possibly been avoided. We did a whole show talking about
Okay. All
torque
right.
compensation.
So I don't know if
Yeah.
you guys know this then, but there is a video tape that was filmed of the crash, and
Yep.
it was actually taken by my girlfriend. I was flying.
Oh,
at the time.
really? No
Yes.
kidding.
But Claire's the one who filmed that video.
Wow.
And this was her first time experiencing anything like the flying circus. And she had the vlog phone out to film me. And she was panning across and just happened to catch the crash as she was panning across.
Wow.
But yeah, very high torque. Was it a tornado, the engine he was flying? I don't.
Yeah.
Air conception?
Is it the air conception? What do they call? Yeah, tornado. It's a 210 cc, I believe.
Yeah, a huge engine.
Mhm.
But yeah,
he's a big
over
guy.
Yeah, and then stayed
Yeah.
on thrust. Yeah, Cliff. He was. But what
Yeah,
was
Cliff.
really the way it was handled, which I thought was really amazing, was that Mo, the owner
Motown.
of the airport, Motown, that's right, said, Cliff would have wanted us to continue doing this. He died doing what he loved, and we're just going to continue the flying circus in his honor. And it was a really neat, yeah, that's Claire. That's her signature thing, the finger squeeze.
Yeah, she tried to smash you there. I saw that.
Yeah.
Crush you. I crush you.
I crush you. But yeah, it was I really appreciated the way that was handled, because it was like, I don't know. I feel like in a lot of places and in a lot of communities, especially really big communities, a lot of fun is taken away because people are trying to completely eliminate any risk at all. And well, in order to effectively do that, if you follow it to its inevitable conclusion, you end up living in a glass box your entire life. So there is a certain amount of risk that we assume in the sport that we do, and we do our best to mitigate that risk, but we know we can never completely eliminate it. And that respect and understanding of our own mortality even almost makes the reward greater and makes the sport special, because we do what we can to be as safe as possible, and that's all we can do. But we also we take on a little bit of risk to enjoy something incredible that many people don't get to do. So that's kind of the way I felt that the flying circus embodies that very well. Anyway,
Yeah,
let me know if I'm rambling.
No, I love it, man. I literally have to go next year. I have to.
Please do.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know how
Please
it's going to work out, but I have to. And I mean, just the fact that you've got airplanes, and at night, let me just pull. Yeah, the pew pews is a really big.
I know Mo invited me back to judge the ground handling competition out there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes, I want to try to get Mo on the show. I've reached out to him a couple times, but I think he's maybe hesitant because of the incident. I'm not sure.
Maybe he's also really, really hard to get a hold of.
Yeah,
Very busy.
he was with
machines.
What's that?
He builds machines. He actually
He does.
builds paramotors. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to mention the nightlife. So they light up. That's a flamethrower. They literally light up the entire place like it's a little mini Burning Man for pilots. And gosh, man, it just looks so fun. I always go to the Salton Sea Flying, and Claire looks like she's in trouble right there.
Yeah, she got napalm on her brand new jacket. So I was like, now what did I tell you about napalm?
Oh, no. How did she get napalm on her jacket?
It was really windy, so obviously
Oh
a great time to use a flamethrower. And
Yeah.
basically anything that didn't burn ended up in our mouths and clothes.
Oh my gosh.
Well, that jacket will smell good in the morning.
Oh yeah.
Love the
Great in
taste
the
of
tent.
napalm in the morning.
I actually think I said that at one
Yeah.
point, and then I was like, I don't know, I probably won't put that in the video.
I don't know where that came from. Yeah. I've heard it my whole life, but I don't know who said it.
It's got to be from some kind of
Apocalypse Now.
Well, there you go. Of course.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning. That gasoline smells like victory. There you go.
That's what it is.
There you go.
Thank you for filling in the gaps for us, Gringo.
I know.
That's why you're a moderator.
Hey, I know when you're looking at stuff, you're trying to pull stuff down.
Yeah.
It's radio. It's like radio.
Yep.
Can't have any gaps.
That's right. So flying circus, what are some of the things that, since we're promoting it, we should probably preface with what some do's and don'ts, maybe? What?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Tell us about what your thoughts are on that.
Well, so because I've been 4 years in a row, and the first year I went, I had only been flying for a few months. I learned, I want to say the hard way, except I didn't crash, but I got close to crashing on takeoff. Ooh. That if you feel the pressure to fly because everyone else is flying, but you're not sure that you can handle the weather or, being up around so many pilots, it's probably best to sit that one out. It lasts all weekend. There are plenty of opportunities to fly. Don't push yourself beyond what you are comfortable with because there are other people around, because that's actually probably the worst time to do that, because you're not only putting yourself at risk, you're putting other people at risk. Fortunately, since I've been there, the takeoff area has expanded quite a bit. So it's easier to take off. Initially, it was just a little bit of maybe like 30 feet cleared next adjacent to the runway. So if the wind wasn't coming right down the runway, taking off and landing was obviously more difficult because you didn't have as much room. And I saw a lot of people crash into the bushes.
No kidding.
On takeoff. Oh yeah, a lot.
Wow.
And it's kind of the same every time. The prop explodes when it hits the bushes, and then they come down and get all tangled in their wing. And fortunately, most accidents like that, the only thing you really hurt is your pride and your wallet. But, if it can be avoided, best to avoid it. Definitely, if you guys, if anybody watching decides to go, bring something more than just your paramotor, because there's a lot of people there, and odds are you're going to find somebody that's interested in it. There's a lot of people that are flying kites. A lot of people bring fireworks. One wheel culture is huge out there. It's firearm friendly. So if you have a gun and you want to bring it, there's a shooting range that is open, I think 4 hours out of the day. And then, just the obvious don'ts or just to be aware of is be aware of the runway. There's it is an active runway the entire weekend. Planes are landing and taking off. So if you can avoid flying over the runway, do avoid flying over the runway. Hot air balloons, a lot of hot air balloons there.
No
really
kidding.
Fun for people. Yeah. To fly
That's
around,
awesome.
Never fly directly over a hot air balloon in a paramotor because there's almost always a lot of heat coming out of the top. That's how they regulate their height, and you'll feel it. Especially if you're close. So,
are you speaking from experience?
No.
Oh, okay. The free flight guys are like, oh, now I know where I can get a free thermal.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. It is. It's a concentrated thermal. It's like a plasma cannon.
Oh my gosh.
It's like hitting really strong wake.
Okay.
But and then observe traffic patterns too. If you're going to be flying around a point of interest like a hot air balloon, if they're going clockwise, go clockwise. If they're going most of the time it's clockwise. Okay. Because we got right torquing motors, so it's easier to turn to the right. But I
like it.
Yeah, I'm sure I can.
Don't land in the shooting range.
Yeah, don't land in the shooting range
if you can, unless
when it's active.
You're a horrible person, and then
that's Scott Anthony. I guess I think he's been there.
Oh no! Somebody actually landed there.
No, I don't know. He just says don't land in the shooting range.
Oh, okay.
The shooting range typically isn't open during optimal ultralight flying hours. For good reason, because even there is a berm, but there's always the occasional ricochet. You don't want that hitting any pilots. The flying circus, it's in the middle of absolute nowhere. Yeah. So if there's no planes in the air, you can pretty much shoot wherever you want. But obviously, shooting range is where we limit the shooting.
That's pretty cool, man. By the way, the show is brought to you by American Allied Drains and Plumbing. They're a real sponsor for our show. If you're in the San Diego area and you are in need of plumbing, American Allied Drains and Plumbing is your company. If you mention Paragliding Talk, they will give you a 10% discount on your services. If you want to get a hold of them, their phone number is 844-777-9055. Also, the show is brought to you by Nebraska PPG. Josh Bowden has a school, and that's in Nebraska, obviously. If you're interested in getting some top-notch training, you can reach out to him. There's a link in the description if you want to get a hold of him. Also, this show is brought to you by iFly Indiana Powered Paragliding. If you are interested in flying paramotors, there's really no better place to get proper training than iflyindiana.com. Kevin and his team will get your feet off the ground. That's iflyindiana.com. Let's spin the wheel and give something away, shall we?
Yeah, let's do this.
Let Sean off the work.
I'm on this crap computer. My last one broke down. So hopefully this one keeps up really good, y'all. So no more names in the wheel because I've got it, pretty much chock full. I'm going to share my screen here. You ready? You ready?
I'm ready.
Yep.
This spin is brought to you by CalamityKiteClinic.com. If you need to step up your ground game, contact us on our website, www.CalamityKiteClinic.com. This was a good spin, too.
I like the colors today. By the way, this show is also brought to you by
very well.
This show is brought to you by Lone Star Paramotor. If you're in the Lone Star State of Texas, reach out to Ron Turan and his team for world-class training. That's LoneStarParamotor.com. It's funny because your quality is so poor that you can't see the names. That looks like maybe JP Tulo and just passed by Michael Jackson and Mike S. I can't tell what that says.
Mike
P.
I was so close.
Was it your name?
Right above it, I think. It's hard to tell. It was very pixelated.
Super blurry. Yeah, we got to get the wheel spinner
it's clear now.
Yes, it was Mike P.
Congratulations, Mike
Anthony,
P.
Anthony
Winner, chicken dinner.
Was right before him. I was like,
Okay.
it was close.
So reach out to me on the website, Mike P. Contact form on the website, paraglidingtalk.com/contact. And I'm going to send you some AMSOIL. Oh yeah. AMSOIL is good for you. You'll love it. We actually still need to do a whole show on AMSOIL.
There you go. Hey, David Wolf, Sean, David Wolf wants to know between you and Michael, Robert Michaels, do you have any video of Calamity Kite Clinic? And you should put your website, your link up there.
It's a great idea. Congratulations, Mike P. So Gabe, let's circle back and talk a little bit about your how in the world did you get to fly in an F-18?
Well, so that was one of those kind of unforeseen circumstances that just comes from doing things. So when I was in the Navy band, my unit leader, James Kaliva, was the drummer, but he was also in charge of, getting us to where we had to go. So basically he would set up the gigs, and then I was the lead singer and I would pick the songs, and then we would travel to these different countries and perform. And I separated from the Navy and he didn't. And I didn't talk to him for around 8 years. And then he randomly reached out to me at the flying circus, actually, and said, "Hey, do you want to fly in an F-18?" And I was like, okay, first of all, the answer to that question is always yes. Yeah. Secondly, how and why? And so he quit the Navy band a few years ago, and he actually became the head officer in charge of the what's it called, public affairs office on the East Coast of the USA, like the whole East Coast. Yeah, there we go. And so he said that they do this thing called Fleet Week New York every year, and they were looking for influencers. And they came up to him and they said, "We need you to find some famous person to promote Fleet Week New York." And he said, what he said to me was, "I guess you kind of count."
Nice.
So he said, do you think you could get me 1 million views? And I said, easily. And he said, all right, then I'll get you in an F-18. So my job was just to come up with something that would get 1 million views. And his job was to get me in the F-18 to promote Fleet Week New York. And that's how we did it. And then I also got to spend some time with the EOD and the military police. Of course, I had to go through like a training thing. They don't just stick you in the back of a fighter jet. You have to go through survival training and everything, which I did at Pax River, which was pretty fun. My brother had just done that a few years prior because he was in flight school. And so I kind of had a bit of a heads up on what to expect with that. And that was really fun. And the whole 4 days was packed full of military stuff, except I got to do it from a media side of things instead of being like actually in the military. So I only had to do the fun stuff.
Yeah, that is absolutely amazing. So there were some, you shared with me earlier, there's obviously some sensitive stuff that you couldn't post inside there. And there's things that were protected. And so maybe talk a little bit about that, that exchange. I know people would be interested in that.
That was very interesting. So, well, I'm just going to say it from my perspective. It definitely felt like not everybody was clear on what could be shown and what couldn't be shown. So I would be told in one sitting, yeah, go ahead, film everything. There's nothing classified. And then it's like, okay, film everything except over the live fire ranges, because we don't want people getting a good look of that layout or where it is. Okay, so don't film that. Or, you can film a live fire range. That's fine. Anyone can find that on a Google map. Just don't film the screens. There could be classified stuff on it. And then the pilot was like, oh yeah, go ahead and film the screens. There can be classified stuff on it sometimes, but there's not going to be during our flight because we're only flying over, unregulated airspace to go for altitude and break the speed of sound and do high G maneuvers. And then we'll go, we're not going to even go over the live fire range. We'll just fly past it as we fly back. So with all of that in my head, I just filmed everything.
Nice.
But then I got back, and of course they've got a person there who decides, it's my job to censor. So he's like, all right, give me your phone, give me your GoPro, everything that you used to film, give me the camera that was, out on the flight deck. And I'll go through all that and I'll cut out the stuff you're not allowed to use. And then we'll meet up the next day and I'll just give you everything that's been approved. And he seemed to only be concerned about showing the screens and the control panel, which was unfortunate because I got some really cool videos, front-facing videos that I wasn't allowed to show because the control panel is visible in all of them. We did a strafing run, high-speed strafing run where we dove from about 5,000 feet and we pulled up probably 50 feet off the deck. Which was insane. And we pulled like 7 Gs as we were pulling up because obviously a good successful strafing run, you get as close as possible to the target. So that's what we did. And then pull up. And it was amazing. And I couldn't use that video.
No.
Yeah, they decided to get rid of everything that showed the screen. So yeah, and honestly, that didn't surprise me very much because being in the military, it is kind of, people do what their job is, and they don't know what other people's jobs are. And so someone from one department will come up and say, yeah, it's okay to do this, but don't film this. And then someone from another department will say, it's okay to film this, don't film this. Ultimately, I think it was probably just precaution that he took out the screens. I don't think that he heard what I heard from the pilot, which was there won't be anything classified on these screens, so it's fine to show them, and just heard what the person before said, which was, yeah, don't show the screens because there can be classified stuff on them. So yeah, it's all
just being overly cautious. That's all.
Yeah, being overly cautious, which I understand.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, it was an interesting situation.
Hey, Rocks?
Yeah.
Kick him.
Wait.
Get out of here. We're live on the air.
Wait. That's the real.
I love that.
That's the real black
This is my smallest boy. Yeah, that's really Black Gryph0n. He's literally on the show.
Hello.
He's a huge fan, by the way.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
I love them. I love your videos. They're sick.
Oh, thanks very much. Thank you. Yeah, I have fun making them.
All right, spin them.
What do you want to see? I want to know.
I don't really know because there's a lot of songs that you do. That's a lot. That's good. That I
Yeah.
like.
All right. Good.
He's
long as
making
you're
some new
happy.
stuff right now.
I am. Yeah. I'm in the
Why is
studio
that
right now.
funny
As soon
sound?
as I get off here, I'm going to go record a song.
He's kind of an awkward personality. We haven't quite
It's cool.
put him
Playing
into.
basketball.
He's literally out front playing basketball. All right, spin him.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's so funny.
I love it. It's so
Yeah, so I have some questions about the G's. When you talk
Yes.
about pulling 7 G's, well, I know you were during that filming, you were trying to actually sing and do impersonations. Tell us a little bit about how that worked out, and when you were in these extreme G's, what does it feel like, and what were you going through?
That's awesome. I love that question. Thank you. So obviously when you're in training, they prepare you for pulling a lot of G's, and you learn, they do something called the Hick maneuver, which is how you, it's funny because they have you practice the Hick maneuver, which basically is this. And they're like, this is how you have to breathe when you're pulling G's. And then, they don't really explain why. And when you are pulling G's, you realize why. And the reason is because at a certain, amount of G forces on your body, your lungs are not strong enough to hold the air in them without assistance. So the Hick maneuver is designed to spasm your diaphragm, force the air in, just momentarily overcome the gravity, and then glottally close off your throat to prevent the air from immediately escaping again. If you don't breathe like that, you'll pass out.
Wow.
Because you'll just the air literally the force on your chest is so intense that it just forces the air right out of you. You also have something called a G suit, which squeezes it's gravity operated, and it takes some of the air flowing into the jet engine and channels it into air sacs in your legs. And that, as you pull G's, the pressure on your legs increases, which forces blood from your legs back up to your core to prevent you from also passing out. It gives you 1 extra G of tolerance.
Wow.
But everyone's G tolerance is different. And they teach you how to they force hypoxia on you, which gives you kind of a similar gray out to blackout experience as you would get if you pulled too many G's. But what it actually feels like is, and I've heard it described this way before, and I thought when I experience it, I'm going to have a better way to describe it. And this is absolutely the best way to describe it. It feels like an elephant sitting on you.
Wow.
And I say elephant because the crushing force is almost unbearable. It is completely you will not survive. When you feel it happening that you will not survive it if it lasts more than a minute.
It literally steals your breath. You can't.
Yes, it forces your breath out. The only way to breathe is by and eventually you get tired. You're also supposed to flex your legs to help force the blood up. But after a while, you eventually gray out. Now, what was very interesting is that singing actually helped control my breathing.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
Yeah, which I wasn't expecting. And my pilot was surprised about that too. She started asking me questions because she obviously didn't go straight to pulling 7.5 G's. And the 7.5 G's that we pulled, I didn't get in the video because that was over the live fire zone, because there was actually something wrong with the transponder and we couldn't go to unregulated airspace. So we had to do the maneuvers just over the water. And then we went to the live fire zone for the super high G turns and the strafing runs, which I had to wear my oxygen mask for. But yeah, and I got a few videos of that on my phone, and I think there's a bonus video where I include some of that. But
by the way, I posted a link to the video in the chat if you guys want to watch it later.
Thank you. But she started asking me, how did you feel just then? How did you feel? I'm like, fine. It's like, are you dizzy? Did you gray out? You know, I was like, no, I'm fine. And she's like, because we just pulled 6 Gs there. I was like, oh.
In the video, it's intense because you're like, you're singing highway to the danger zone. And then like 2 seconds later, she goes, hey, we just pulled 6 Gs right there. And you were like, wow, we did, really? And you just sang right through it.
Yeah, well, that helped. But if you look in the video, I actually am breathing way more frequently than I would. I'm going, highway to the danger zone.
Yeah.
Because it's forcing a ton of air out.
Yeah.
Like the pressure is enormous. But singing squeezes your throat and it makes you exhale slower, which
interesting.
regulated my breathing. And I actually think that it helped more than doing the hic maneuver, because when I wasn't singing, I was doing the hic maneuver and I didn't feel like my tolerance was as good. I never grayed out, but you can feel, I don't know if, like, tell me if this makes sense to you. You can feel it approaching. It's like, I can very much tell when I'm in a high stress situation like that, how much time I have. It's almost like looking at a progress bar.
Maybe it's closing in.
Did you ever get the feeling?
I never got to that point, but I knew where that would have started happening if I were to get to that point, but we never pulled G's for longer than about 10 seconds.
Wow.
So
did you ever get the feeling she was trying to get you to not pass out?
From the beginning.
I actually asked her to.
Yes.
She was.
From the
I asked
very
her to.
get-go.
I said, knock me out. I said, it'll be entertaining for my audience. Do whatever you can. Knock me out. Make me throw up. I wanted the craziest video possible. And yeah, for whatever reason, she didn't do it or couldn't do it.
That is so wild.
It was really fun. Yeah. But I don't want to, it's a maybe, but I might be doing another video in an F-22 Raptor coming up soon.
No way. They have 2 seats?
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
They're tandem seating, just like the F-18 and the F-16.
Wow.
F-16 has the highest, can pull the most Gs. The max limit for the Legacy F-18 is 7.5, which we did reach.
Whoa. How do you know? What is there? Something on the
it's on the screen. Like,
okay.
This on the HUD. It tells you how many Gs you're pulling, which is pretty cool.
Hey, Gyro Jeffro donated $5 to Super Chat. Thanks, man. Gyro Jeffro's awesome.
The F-16 can pull 9 Gs.
Wow, that's
insane.
What can the human body handle? Is that pretty much it? 9 Gs?
I think. Oh, someone correct me if I'm wrong. I think 20 is considered fatal.
20, I mean, that's like smashing you.
Right. But I mean, smashing you or pulling sustained would have the same effect.
Because it's 10 times your weight, right?
Right.
Jeez.
Yeah, so, I mean, but 9 is up there. And they typically, there's a reason fighter pilots are usually short and small, is because there's less mass. So
I knew it.
That's actually what my brother's issue ended up being. He is very tall, and he, had a really hard time pulling G's because he's so big and there's so much, the blood has to travel a lot farther. There's more mass. He's a lot skinnier than I am. So, but that is also kind of the weird thing, because I didn't really have a problem with it, which I anticipated that I would. In fact, everyone anticipated that I would, because I'm a bigger guy. But
we can relate this, by the way, to free flying and paramotoring. If you're ever in a locked out spiral, face down spiral, you will get up there in the G's. I'm not sure exactly how many G's, but it's up there, and you will black out. And if you recognize those conditions, like there's some training people do, G training on a simulator for free flying. And I encourage you, if you can somehow get on one of those, that'll really help you. Knowing where you're at, or just do an SIV. Some of the maneuvers that you do on an SIV will really wake you up to how much energy is being transferred around when you're flying around in a free flight, especially a motor. I assume that it can. I haven't really got G'd up on a paramotor, but I know it's the same thing. So know your tolerance is really, really important.
I'd say the most I've ever pulled in a paramotor is probably 3Gs, just doing wing overs. And, you know, spirals can increase Gs a little bit. And a lot of times to get out, like when I exit wing overs, I'll go into a spiral. And that's when I'll get the most Gs, which I would say, probably 3 or 4, but never anything over that, and not for very long either. It just kind of bleeds off as you decelerate. So, yeah.
Wow.
I've never done a civ course, so I'd love to.
Oh yeah, dude, they're amazing. Yes, dear. No singing. Please. That's it. Maybe in the after show. He's very busy right now. We're talking about fighter jets.
I'll sing something if she wants.
Hey, since we're on that,
if you could sing Skillet Last Night.
Oh, I don't know that song.
He said he does not know that song. Okay.
I'm sorry.
No singing. No, please.
I don't think I do.
We're talking about flying stuff right now.
You know,
we're doing what the cool kids do.
He could sing happy birthday to DP.
DP, it's his birthday.
I could do that.
Is DP even in the chat? I haven't even seen him.
I haven't seen DP.
I think he'll see this after the show, probably. He's out with his wife doing some fancy stuff. So whatever the surprise was, it's bound to be good. Yeah.
That's right. That's true.
All right, I'll sing happy birthday.
No, you don't have to do that, but we will say happy birthday. I do want to talk about just one more thing before we go. So people are, obviously you went through a pretty traumatic swing in life. And because you were literally just a hair's breadth away from fulfilling your dream, which is to go to outer space. You told me that you've had dreams about going to outer space. I really believe that you are going to go, and it's going to happen. It's just, maybe it's not going to be with SpaceX. Maybe it will be, who knows? But I don't think this is going to be the last trip that we take to space in our lifetime. And I think that if anybody is going to be qualified, it's you. So you came across this rare condition, and then you found out later on that it's not so rare and it's not a really big deal. Talk a little bit about that condition and what you learned, and share with everybody what you went through.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's the condition is poorly understood because it only recently has technology gotten good enough to diagnose this condition. Just a little bit of background. I was selected to be on the crew for Deer Moon out of 1 million people. It was a massive selection process. I had, team building exercises, obviously crazy medical screening, bone density scans, breathing, like volume displacement, like stuff I'd never even heard of before, and a CAT scan. And then they also gave me an MRI, and I was the only astronaut candidate that they gave an MRI to because my dad had an AVM. And I mentioned that when they were asking, have any of your family ever been hospitalized for more than like 3 days? It was basically and an AVM is basically where the artery, it's in your brain, and the arteries flow directly into the veins, and that causes overpressure, and sometimes it can bleed. Now, my dad's AVM is not in a area that's considered like dangerous. He just kind of gets woozy if it ever bleeds, and I think it's only bled once. And he was told this isn't really a risk to your safety, but an AVM can be a risk to your safety depending on where it is. So they gave me an MRI to see if I had an AVM, and I don't, but I do have something called cavernomas, or cerebral cavernous malformations. And they're basically where the capillaries in your brain are oddly formed, some of them. And that SpaceX told me, we're concerned about this because if any of these bleed, they could, who knows what could happen. And then they were basically like, so unfortunately, you've been disqualified. Bye. And I was like, okay, well, I've been working on this for, the last 6 months. That's all I've been focusing on. And then, of course, my whole life, I've been wanting to go to space. And this is a trip to the moon. I mean, I was set to be like the first person to write and record a song in space. Like, that was the plan. And, everything was going great. I made amazing friends with some astronauts. Like I said, one of my friends is an astronaut who's going to space next week. And I get to go watch her launch to space from the top of the Saturn V vehicle assembly building. And it's going to be really bittersweet because while it'll be awesome to watch my friend launch to space from that close, it's also going to kind of suck knowing I'm not going to get to go next because we promised each other we'd watch each other's launches, you know? So, but anyway, so my last month has been just pursuing this and learning more about it. And I reached out to someone I found online, a cerebral cavernous malformation specialist named Dr. Robert M. Friedlander. And I sent him the MRI scans, basically everything I got from the doctors at UCLA. UCLA is where they do medical screening for astronauts, by the way, if anyone's curious. And he said, not only is my condition not a risk, but it is relatively common. And he said that many people have them and they don't know they have them because you need an MRI with contrast to see them. So not just an MRI, you can't even see it on an MRI. You have to get iron injected into your blood to see them because they're so small. And he was like, I wouldn't be concerned about this at all. Because I called him thinking I was going to need surgery if I ever wanted to go to space. And he's like, no, you don't need surgery. This isn't a problem. It's basically like freckles in your brain. They're as harmless as freckles. But because it's a relatively new thing and it's not very well understood, SpaceX, freaked out. And we're like, well, with a very high profile mission as going back to the moon, they don't want any risks at all, which I think is weird because there's obviously inherent risk in going to space. But Friedlander actually said many astronauts probably have this and they don't know because they didn't get an MRI scan. And then he asked me, did any of the other astronaut candidates get MRIs? And the answer is no, they didn't. So I'm kind of sitting here trying to figure out what action to take. What's my next step? What's the right thing to do? Because I don't want to burn any bridges and I don't want to call out SpaceX and be like, hey, you guys, that's unfair. Yeah. But at the same time, I know that I'm physically qualified. I've done things, that many people, probably a lot of the astronaut candidates haven't done. So I should be more qualified just based off the fact that I have a lifetime of dealing with stressful situations and strenuous activity. Being in special operations training, I'm a licensed skydiver. Obviously I fly paramotor constantly, and I do aerobatic maneuvers and then, pulling 7.5 Gs and an F-18. I mean, if something bad would have happened, it would have happened.
Yeah.
Basically. And that's also what the neurosurgeon told me. So that's my situation now. And I'm in the process of trying to appeal their decision.
That's great. And so we're just now waiting for a letter from this doctor, this last
that's right.
Doctor. So we'll have to maybe we'll send him a text message, say, hey, just can you send that?
Yeah, I emailed him yesterday. We'll see.
Nice.
See what happens. He's busy. He's like,
I'm sure.
Yeah, he's a pretty prominent guy. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, we are out of time for tonight's show. We're going to go to the after show. Gabe may stick around for just a few more minutes, and but he also has to go and record. So if you want to be a part of the after show, just drop your information, drop your email in the chat. And if you're a PayPal or Patreon supporter or a super chatter, you can join us. This show is also brought to you by Torrey Pines Glide Report. If you want to learn how to fly in the most beautiful place in the United States, you can reach out to the guys at flytorrey.com. That's FLYTORREY.com. That's Torrey Pines Glide Report. Amazing place to fly. Also, the show is brought to you by Resurgence PPG. If you're interested in supporting our men and women of uniform, and basically what they do is they sponsor warriors that are dealing with PTSD or adaptive recovery veterans. If you want to support them, and again, it's a 501c3, so it's a tax deductible donation, you can reach out to Todd Scandrett at resurgenceppg.com. So thank you guys so much for watching. Gabe, thank you so much for coming on. I would really like to do a follow-up show if we can at some point, and just kind of
absolutely
fill in the gaps, see what happens.
As I learn more information, for sure.
Yeah, and we're praying. We're gonna believe God that this will break through, and you'll have a chance in outer space. I think it's such a cool thing and such a great dream, and you're such an awesome person. I can't picture anybody else doing it. So thank you again for coming on the show, and thank you for being a part of this little niche flying community.
Paragliding.com.
That's right. he almost does it as good as I do, guys. I'm just saying. Paragliding.com.
That's good. .com. I gotta get lower.
I don't know.
I know. he's the last time he did it, I was like, dang it. I'm gonna have to
I just
pay
have to
him.
repeat it. I have to hear you do it so I can imitate it exactly right after you do it. That's the only way I can do it, like close.
All right, well, I'm not gonna do it again because I don't want to have to pay you. I'm gonna have to pay you for samples of my own voice. Yeah. All right, guys, we're gonna go to the after show. Thank you so much. If I don't see you on the air, I'll see you in there. Paraglidingtalk.com.
Paraglidingtalk.com.
Tried so hard.
You're fired.